everyone, this is episode 34 of Noodle Time. Welcome back. Here with me is the biggest Achi hater out there, OSG.
What do you do?
it's such.
Y'all all know he doesn't know what he's talking about there. That's so yeah. But man, hey, what's going on, man? What's up, man? I made the trip yesterday to
all good.
Houston. I'm back home and I'm taking shots.
Oh no, man. You know I'm joking, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was just um beautiful to see Achach and the team yesterday because they coming out of that game against New England, it felt like a different team, and I mean it was just so fun to watch, and we'll definitely gonna go ahead and talk about that big win against Austin FC to open our new home. Well, quote unquote, a new uh, stadium name home, and with the new seats and all the amenities there, and we'll get to that, and also a couple things that happened after the game, especially the rumors involving Erik Sviatchenko, a center back from the Danish league, that it's apparently coming to Houston, according to Tom Bogert, and yeah, man, that's just a lot to talk about, and yeah, it's just we're in high spirits right now because it's I'm trying to get all my thoughts together because I'm excited and a little bit upset at the same time because I was originally planning to go to the game, but unfortunately I had to stay back home for the weekend because my cat Elise, his birth name Tito, he was feeling pretty bad for a good chunk of the week, and I thought it was like a fever or something. He wasn't eating his meals, but thankfully he's okay, and he's actually right here with me for the
He felt,
episode.
he felt like the Dynamo
Be-
did for the open the season, and
yeah,
now they got a win. He feels better.
yeah, like he was feeling down, but thankfully he's back up. He's in good spirits now, and he brought us a dub. So thank you, at least for the dub. He's just good now, and I'm happy, and we're all happy, and yeah, let's talk about the game because it was amazing.
Yeah, man. So
And yeah,
yeah, I went to Houston obviously yesterday to go to the game, but I stopped off at Phoenix first to watch the Man City FA Cup match. Got an early start, so I didn't feel like I was rushed in Houston. And after the game, I went straight to Lot C and met up with the Surge for the big tailgate. Wasn't such a big tailgate this time. There wasn't as much as involved, but we did have a tent. The Texian did show up, and they brought their Jeep, so we had the music playing loud. Somebody bought a pinata, so we let the kids beat the crap out of a broccoli pinata yesterday. There's
yeah,
there's video on the internet. There's video on my Instagram of it. But some of the Austin fans I saw replied to whoever posted actually it was Copa Tejas that posted the video, and some Austin fans replied they looked like they were mad. But the tailgate was fun, man. We had some drinks from our sponsors, from the Surge sponsors, sorry, and Ted Siegel and Pat Onstad and Jessica O'Neill all showed up. Of course, Malcolm and Raphael showed up, who's our reps for the supporter section. They all showed up and chit chatted with us for a minute, and it looked like just from because I had to keep going over to Texas Tailgate because they didn't have any restrooms in the parking lot, so I kept going over to where EB is, and it looks like Ted and Pat and Jessica did the rounds, and they started up at the stadium under the big screen right outside, and I was crossing the parking lot, so I couldn't tell what was going on and hear what's going on. And like I told you off air, I haven't checked my social media since I got to Houston yesterday, so I really don't know what happened. Maybe you might have seen it, but they had some looked like six dash players, and they were talking to them, and it looked like the dash were just kind of trying to encourage people to come to the game next weekend. And after that, Ted Siegel and Pat Onset walked over to our tailgate and talked with us, took some pictures with some people. And then after that, they walked over to Texas Tailgate where Alberto Young was and talked to them and met up with them before they went back into the stadium. So Daddy Ted and Pat Elstad, showing up and showing out for us and come and shook some hands. And so that was cool. But as far as the tailgate, it was chill. We jammed out. And then we walked into the stadium and we got ready for it, bro. We got ready for it. We were pumped and excited.
Oh yeah, and I did see videos, pictures of pretty much everything you just said, and yeah, like usually tailgates, especially around the home opener and derbies like this one, for example, the supporters go all out, like not just the Surge, but also El Batallon and Tixian Army. They pull the stops and they should turn out amazing. And I also regret not going to the game because I missed the tailgate and yeah, but I like I said, I managed to see all the action, uh, like on Twitter, and I just wish I was there honestly, but yeah, and just going back to what you said about the front office and the Dash players being there, it's just good to see. I will see people in the front office being involved. Like we've seen it 100 times already, but it's just good to see. And like obviously they acknowledge the fans, they're involved with the fans, just being part of the game day experience. That's pretty big. And yeah, it's just great to see. Obviously, a Tasty Goal not based in Houston, making just many games as possible because it's his club, and he's essentially just walking the talk at this point. Not only with in terms of investment, but also just showing up. That's pretty big, at least for me. But but yeah, like and obviously Pat Onstad, you don't have to say yeah right there. Pat Onstad, not much else to say. Like he's part of the club, pretty much since day one, and yeah, it's just great to see that as well. And Jessica O'Neill, a new club president. I've been seeing her more involved, and especially with the game day operations. Especially when I went to the fire sale, she was pretty much as involved with the operations of the event as well. Like she was even a cashier for the fire sale too, essentially assisting the cashier to process all the orders for the fans that were there to purchase the gear, which was also cool to see. And yeah, like it's one of the things that I said initially, that in order for this club to succeed, like the people that are there actually have want to be there and not just get paid. They have to be involved, engage with the fans, and just to take this club to the next level, which I really appreciate. And yeah, it's just awesome to see. I just hear everything that you went through for the tailgate, but yeah, let's talk about what happened
Bro,
on the field. If you don't
well,
have anything else to add.
yeah, real quick, I'm not gonna lie. I thought Jessica Neal was not such a small woman. I thought Daddy Ted was big in stature, but short. He's not a very tall man at all. He's very short. But I saw Jessica yesterday. Dang, Ted Siegel was taller, so I was kind of surprised when I saw her for the first time in person. But that doesn't make anything less of her, anyways. But I was like, "That's Jessica O'Neill right there." I had to ask somebody, and they're like, "Yeah, yeah, bro." I was like, "Damn, okay, cool." But yeah, so yeah, that was cool for us to come out and they talked to us and all that good stuff, and so that was fun. But yeah, man, like I said, we got into the stadium and. I don't know if you could see from the TV because you know how much they show, but it was a rocking stadium last night, and it was pretty loud. But yeah, let's get into it, man. That's all I got for the pregame.
Oh yeah, and the stadium was rocking, and thankfully it stayed like that throughout the game, particularly in the second half. But we can definitely get started talking about the lineup, because there weren't that many adjustments made outside of Amin Abbasi making his first MLS start with the Dynamo, and essentially Corey Bear still staying, but rather switching as a number nine instead of having a Sebas there, which is also pretty. I thought it was pretty interesting. Like as a nine, he's pretty much familiar with that position, but he's usually played as a winger with Dynamo, and and yet from this game on, I felt like since there weren't that many adjustments made to the midfield, and it was pretty much made clear throughout the game, and I've been suggesting Amin Abbasi as a midfielder, and after this game, I feel like that's pretty much just going to be our first choice midfield
Okay,
in
well,
the sense
I think
of
you froze there for a second.
these
I,
are
I,
our
I
three
lost
guys
your
are going to be
mic.
here in that midfield, and no further adjustments are going to be made unless there's a change in formation. and it was proven right away in the game. And I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, because I feel like it's pretty much not a question at this point.
Well, the lineup surprise uh, was Baird starting at striker over Sebastian Fidea. That was, I mean, that one just I don't that came out of left field for all of us, and we don't. And like I said, I haven't been on social, so I haven't checked what the press conferences were last night or anything like that, and just to see why Sebastian Fidea didn't get the start again. But that was the biggest surprise for me. And to be honest, Bear didn't look bad during the game. He was making his runs, and obviously we had a different style of attack this game, and so it worked out. And then the other surprise was Stairs getting to start at right back like he did in the Dallas game. So, and he worked out. He played well yesterday. Played very well yesterday too. So we got a dilemma at right back, and we got a huge dilemma at striker. Check your phone, man. So it's crazy, bro. Like I don't like, but I don't know. Maybe if you got an answer on what happened up there with the striker.
I did see the press conference actually, and essentially what Ben Olsen said about Corey Baird was essentially that it was a coach's decision, and essentially that Corey Baird was more willing to play back to defend. And I thought it was interesting because I didn't see like much action as an offensive player up until the second half, but yeah, the I thought it was interesting for sure. But what I thought was more surprising was definitely Asteris being a right back, and yeah, it was just I was like before the game started, I was pretty much um, questioning that decision, but as the game progressed, that it was made apparent that he was playing well, and yeah, kudos to Ben Olsen for at least being aware of what Asteris can do in that
Yeah,
position, or just being outside of his natural position, and just fitting in very well, especially considering that like Austin did get a lot of opportunities off the flank, but at the same time, like it just feels like Asteris adapted to the game, and it was just good to see, especially like I said, considering that he was playing out of his normal position, and yeah, like at least that's what I thought about like Baird and Stairs as a whole.
we may have a new right back right there. The way he played yesterday, and maybe that was the plan too with how defensive he is. And because he's not going to push up into the attack much. Uh, yeah, he's not going to push up into the attack much, and so like maybe that was just a strategy because of course when Dorsey comes in, uh, Dorsey's gonna he's gonna push up. He's going to push up a lot, and that kind of puts us in a situation where it's Bartlow and Hadavi together trying to defend. But maybe it worked out,
So yeah,
But
and it did, and I guess like the last thing I want to say about the lineup is that they play very well, and even though there were a couple people that were playing, I wouldn't say like they're unnatural positions, because Bear just can play as a nine in the right situation, but I feel like they kept the pieces that they had to keep, especially in the first two games. That even though we lost, there were definitely some flashes that things were working out, and especially in terms of defense and midfield, I felt like they kept their pieces, and it just worked out in this game. And I'm glad that and this game is big in the sense of not only needing the 3 points because we lost the first two games, but also the fact that they stuck to the plan, at least most of their plans that they pretty much tried to establish in the first two games, and it worked out in the end. And this game in particular, like it just looked like it was essentially a complete game, and it was acknowledged by Ben Olsen and myself.
yeah, when it was actually look a very different plan than the way we played from the first two games because we didn't try to possess as much this time, and they were playing balls over the top, which probably they were trying to go forward more, which looked like that was the advantage to Stairs playing right back, because you knew if we were going to play forward a lot more, then you're not needing to push into the attack and put yourself out of position defensively. So, and I like the opportunities they were taking over the top and pushing to the down the wings and trying to get Franco, and then Franco, bro. That's what wingers are supposed to do: get on the ball and go to goal. And he was trying to take those defenders on 1v1, Bossy as well
Yep.
too. And yeah, man, it looked like Barrett had a few opportunities to get onto the ball. I don't think he really took any shots or anything like that, but I like the style that we played last night. I don't think Austin was ready for that type of style, and we took advantage of their weakness, which is their center backs. Really, is what their weakness is, not their wing backs. So, I know Austin's pretty pissed today as far as how well. I've seen how pissed they are, because I did read a little bit of Twitter just to see what their reactions were, and they're mad at Wolf. They're not mad at the team. So it's crazy, but man, the way that game just went yesterday, and just the attempts and everything like that. Well, bro, I was super happy with that, man. That was just a really brilliant game, and from the sold out supporter section, and a pretty packed stadium. Like, man, it was just it was bring the heat, and it was freaking awesome, bro. Yesterday, it was awesome.
Oh yeah, and I thought it was interesting because, like, for me, this game was essentially just like the polar opposite of the game against New England, because in the first half of the New England game, it felt like they had the right ideas going, but they just fell flat towards the end of the first half. And the first half against Austin, they pretty much started to adapt to that game, because like Austin started attacking and they started finding like those spaces to at least like create some opportunities to score. And thankfully, Houston was at the right place at the right time to essentially just like knock down those opportunities. And and by the way, like Driussi, nowhere to be seen. And this just going back to essentially what I said about midfield, and and pretty much just like Artur and Ache just pretty much just creating or at least just making life miserable for Austin. And and they just adapted to it in the first half, and just going to the second half, like they just kicked it to overdrive, and they started creating those opportunities, and obviously forcing the handball for Lundy, which it's just so unlucky for Lundy, because he came into Austin this offseason. He gets subbed in, and then forces the handball for Houston to score of the spot. And man, I just feel bad for Lundy, honestly, like because he was just looking. Obviously, he was looking to help his team off the bench, but he was in that situation. And what can I say?
All right, the only I feel bad for him is that he's got to wear that ugly uniform over there. So what he did in the game, thank you, bro, appreciate it. Welcome back to Houston, and but I'm sure your plane ride sucked on the way home too. So
No, yeah,
you're one of them now, bro. But what was I going to say? You said at the right place at the right time. In this build up right here, well, the opposite of the right place at the right time is the wrong place at the wrong time. Baird in the first half was offsides 3 or 4 friggin' times in a row, bro.
yeah.
And like they were coming at our goal in the first half where the supporters sit, and I'm like, offside, offside, offside. I'm like, Sebastian Padilla would have never been offside, but I get what he was trying to do, and the attempt that was there in the style of play. So I can't knock him too much, but we just got Fafa remembered.
No, man. And I guess like the other thing, obviously, we started talking about the second half, and Houston was pretty much in the front of the ball almost the entire time. At least that's what it felt like. And yeah, like it was a completely different second half in terms of at least possession, creating chances, and yeah, they did get the first goal. Bassi gets his first goal in his first start with the Dynamo, which is awesome to see. He buries that opportunity, which is almost saved by Stuver. But I mean, goal's a goal. We take it, and let's talk about Dorsey, because I was giving him a lot of crap last week, and he comes up big, he off the bench, and assists to Ache to score the second goal, and I'm like, well, welcome to being a forward again, because this probably the best you're gonna get. And it's just funny to me, because like when he comes to Houston, he he comes in as a winger. he transitions back, and I guess after this game, he might just be like a winger again, like up front, and it's just funny to see. But but still, I mean, Dorsey, I'm sorry, I guess, for last week, but yeah, it was just amazing to see because he finds that opportunity. At least he opens up to the other side of the box to then find Ache for him to like bury that, and that finish by Ache though, like he pretty much like puts it with the other side of his foot like to Stuver's side, and it was just unstoppable, especially like from the get go, and man, shout out to Dorsey and Ache for just like having a big game. Like it was amazing to see. I don't know about you.
Dude, I mean, and just watching the buildup of that play, and what we expect from Achi, he's always so calm and cool whenever he's on the ball, and because he's got his moves and he protects the ball so well. But he received the ball right there in the box, and he was just kind of just protecting it. And he touched it to Franco. Franco gave it back to Achi, and then Hector Herrera puts it out to the wing for Dorsey, and Dorsey makes his little move towards goal. And when you go back and watch the replay, you see Herrera, he speeds up, making that run into the box from where he was. It wasn't a very far run, but he made the run. He was able to visualize what was about to happen and what was coming, and Dorsey played it right to him. And then, like you said, just put it right in the net where Stuber didn't know which way to go. It's crazy. So, dude, that was just a pretty build up, and Achi gets the second assist on the assist and scores the goal. His first MLS goal, and he did it right there in front of the Austin fans too, because it was on that side. So, I know they're hating
The other
Achi
thing,
now.
the other thing I forgot to mention was the fact that Basi he celebrated the way Urruti does,
Oh
and
yeah,
Urruti was right there, and I'm like, this is amazing. He
yeah.
did the Urruti celebration. It was insane.
I mean, that's not his celebration, right? He literally stole it for this game, right? I mean, I love that he stole that and did that. That's a shot at Austin. He's already feeling the rivalry. And yes, guys, everybody listening and arguing, it is a rivalry, even though in the sense that this is what only game number 7 or 6 or 7 against Austin. There's not a build up to go by to make it a rivalry, but it's a rivalry. This is a Texas team. They're the closest team to us. They hate us. We hate them just as much. It is a rivalry. So, and you could see it from the boys last night and just their reactions and actions during the game. And then that shot, that arrow. Yes.
Yeah,
Freaking beautiful, man.
yeah, and I guess to wrap up the review, I mean, shout out obviously a couple shout outs actually. The back line, first clean sheet of the season. I felt like they held it up very well. Like Austin, they get a couple of scoring opportunities in both halves that they looked at they were going to score, but especially the chance for Urruti early in the game, it looked like it hit the crossbar, but after that, like they just made life miserable for them. So shout out to our back line, and especially Steve Clark for coming in big and keeping that clean sheet because there were also a couple opportunities that he was at the right place at the right time to pretty much just grab the ball right away.
Well,
Because if it
bro,
wasn't there, good chance that we're gonna score.
yeah, all the shots pretty much. Austin took terrible shots. They took a few shots. They had a good goals, good chances, and you're really the only one hitting that sidebar or whatever it was. But they were all straight to Clark, so he didn't really have to make any efforts to make the saves, except for those ones that came low on the ground, and he had to make sure it didn't bounce away and he parried away or nothing like that. So yeah, so Clark is just that's what we like about him. You don't make him work too hard, he's gonna make those saves. And Austin kept shooting them right at him, right at him, right at him. So, but Clark, I know he felt rejuvenated last night too. Thank you.
Oh yeah. So yeah, uh, big performance by the back line, but also Ache he is improving. Safe to say now because like I mean we've been seeing this in the first game. Like he's being more involved with the Dynamo and yeah, like in those plays, and we see his first goal with the Dynamo last night and another assist on his name essentially, and yeah, it's just amazing to see how he's pretty much evolving over time with a new team. and a new coach, and yeah, I'm just looking to see what happens from here because he is definitely in uh, on par, if not a little bit, um, getting into a Coco levels of involvement with the offensive line, or at least transitioning back to defend. But I'm loving what I'm seeing so far, and Ache is getting much better, and he's getting scary. So that's good to see.
Well, he's starting to play up to what we expected from him last season, and then obviously last season, we're like we said, we're just going to call that a wash and forget about last season. But yeah, he's obviously he's. I think he's feeling his Atletico uh, days coming back to his feet, and he played the full 90 last night too. Obviously from scoring that goal in the 87th, but yeah, man, Houston's finally getting the Achi that we thought we were going to get, and it's great. And remember going back to our interview with Hernan last week on We Are Austin TV, and he even talked about how he heard Achi's doing better and looking better, and stats are showing he's better, and now they got to see it for the first time right in front of him. And, yeah, if he keeps this up all year, that's a bonus in the midfield. That's exactly what we brought him here to do, was play that type of soccer for us, and I'm loving every moment of it right now. I don't think we had one bad player last night as far as performance or anybody that stood out not playing above par. But obviously, when you play Austin, you bring it, and you play with your hearts.
Yep, pretty much just a complete game altogether, and I know yeah they got the job done. Like it's I will see. We're still 3 games into the season, but it's the best game we've had, obviously,
Yeah,
and it just gets me excited to what's gonna come because we obviously there's gonna be a lot more games, a lot more difficult games as well down the road, and it's just a matter of I'm gonna keep saying it's just a matter of consistency and just showing up to play, especially the tougher teams and on the road, and we'll see where it goes from here. But this is like a big result. Obviously we lost the first 2 games and we needed to win. They got the job done, and yeah, they just gotta build up from here because I'm looking forward to that. And I guess before move on to the preview for the NYCFC game, and we if you want to talk a little bit more about the experience at the stadium, because you already mentioned a little bit about the pregame, the tailgate, and all that entering to the stadium. And I was wondering about your thoughts about the renovations that you've seen so far, because I did talk a little bit about that in the last episode, for the fire sale and the dash scrimmage, and I was only able to see obviously the seats and some parts of the concourse, but half of the concourse was closed off because it was still under construction, and obviously I wasn't able to see the food options or anything because those were closed as well. So I was just wondering if you had like any thoughts on that.
yeah, man. So to be honest, I didn't walk the concourse when I got into the stadium. I went straight to the supporter section and just pretty much I didn't linger too far off from there, except for to run to the restroom a couple times. So I didn't go check out the concourse. I didn't go check out any of the food. Maybe during a dash game or something like that. But the Dynamo, I'm just too busy and too involved with the surge, so there was no checking that out. And then, of course, with the it being sold out, you had to go find I had to go find a place to stand, man. Like I walked in with a couple people. I was like, "All right, man, save me some elbow room." And I come down to them, and they're like, "There's no elbow room, bro. There's no elbow room." I was like, "Well, you didn't do a good job of it." So I had to kind of squeeze in and find a spot in the supporter section. And there's a lot of people standing behind the rail in between Abation and us. Um, you were right; they did put up a fence where they took down the cement wall, but they're using the fence for signage, so they got signage up right there. So if you are standing on the other side of the fence where those tables are at, you can't see the game. So I didn't even go check out to see if that concession stand was working or running. It looked like it was when I walked by, but I didn't pay much attention to it. As far as I didn't get to really see the stadium seating. I mean, I saw some because there were still some open seats, and in the luxury lounges or whatever, the people were hanging out inside their little luxury lounge instead at their seat because it was a little too cold for them. So I really didn't get to see like the Houston across the stadium or anything like that, because of course when we walked in, the stadium was already getting pretty packed. And uh, you know uh, the lighting was, there's a little bit of different lighting there that they did at halftime for the they always turn the lights off. And so it looks like they did some upgrades on some LEDs. But as far as the renovations, I really didn't get a chance to really take a good look at what was going on with the rest of the stadium because how involved I was with the tailgate and then just walking in. So like maybe with a dash game, I'll be able to pay attention more to everything else that's going on since we don't do a big pregame like we do for Dynamo. But I mean, it looked good. The stadium looked good. Most of the seats looked like they were taken up. A few people didn't show up that bought tickets, and I heard that rumor before the game. But otherwise, the upper bowl looked pretty good. It was the lower bowl that didn't look too good, and I don't know how it looked on TV for you when you're seeing the lower bowl. But yeah, renovations I really didn't get to pay too much attention to. I was focused on the vibe that was going on.
for sure, and I don't blame you. But yeah, in terms of attendance, I heard that just from the pictures themselves, like it was pretty packed, and it's just that on the TV side because the cameras for the TV are facing the east side of the stadium where the East Club is. It looked pretty empty only because a lot of people were preferring just to stay inside for warmth and obviously get grab food or something. And it just felt like a little bit empty from that section only. And for that reason, that they'd rather just stay indoors for the heat and all that. But other than that, just looking at the pictures, the upper bowl was pretty much packed, and it was just good to see. And I guess they don't have to sort out that issue. And it's pretty difficult to sort, especially since it's gonna come down to like personal preference for the fan. And yeah, obviously, like being in those conditions with a cold, you prefer being in heat, which like I said, it's mostly just like personal preference. But what can you do in that situation? But yeah, like then I mean, if you ask me though, I will definitely just be outside. I will watch the game for sure, but to each their own, unfortunately.
Yeah, be part
But
of the
yeah,
part of the game for real. And I just looked up the attendance number. It was 19,000, so we were 3,000 short of selling out, and that's probably what seats I was seeing open. Besides those people hanging out in their expensive lounge where they get their food and beer brought to their hands instead of us having to go get them. But like I said, I'm with you, bro. I want to be out in the atmosphere, and I want to be part of the stadium, part of the game. I'm not hiding. I'm not hiding. I was bundled up and I was actually comfortable. I wasn't the cold didn't bother me at all, but I was prepared for it. I dressed accordingly. So, and then of course when you're active in the supporter section, you're always building up body heat anyway. So, but
yeah, yeah, and just moving around, jumping, singing helps a lot too. But yeah, just good to see this the change to the stadium, and I'm hoping to see more of that when I go to the games next week because I'm still planning to go for the Dynamo game on Saturday and the Dash game on Sunday, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And and yeah, with that, we can definitely just go ahead and move to the preview for our next game at home against New York City FC next Saturday. And I think it's gonna be a pretty interesting game because NYCFC, they're a pretty offensive team that just love to create more spaces. I'm scared of like a player like Taz Magno, like their own forward, that you can just leave him by himself throughout the game because he's gonna create those opportunities and score on you. So there's gonna be another big game for defense to show up, especially with this back line because they've proven now they can take it, but they have to be on their toes the entire game because New York City, they're a pretty entertaining team to watch for a good reason, and yeah, they just gotta watch out for it because they are currently coming in with a 2 game winning streak. They started the season with a loss at Nashville, but looks like they're back on track now. They're currently, if I'm not mistaken, eighth place in the Eastern Conference. Actually, not eighth. They're currently fifth, but still, they're doing pretty well, as considering that they started the season pretty bad.
hey, well, they had two road games. They lost to Nashville 2-0, and then they tied Chicago 1-1 on the road, and then they came back and won both their home games. One against Inter Miami on a 1-0 own goal, and then yesterday DC United they beat 3-2, and they were up 2-1, and then went up 3-1 in like the 88th minute, and DC came right back and scored right back on them and made it 3-2. So it looked like that game was pretty exciting. I'll have to make sure I go check out the highlights, but make sure to get the preview to see what NYC is bringing to us. But maybe they're a bad road team and a good home team. But
Yeah, and to to get in straight into the changes to the lineup, I think the lineup's gonna stay the same except for the number 9 position. I feel like Sebas is going to start, or at least, or they might just stick to Bear for now because I feel like the way that Ben Olsen talked about Corey Baird is that he recognizes Corey Baird's qualities, and there's a good chance he might just stay there for the starting 11. But Sebas has to pick it up, so there's a good chance he gets switched.
man, if that's true, poor Sebastian Fidea, then that's gonna it's gonna be to make some that's gonna start getting some questions out there. But if if Barrett can perform and make us forget about Sebastian, then that's fine. I hope he can do that because we got a DP sitting on the bench and we're complaining about not having able to get DPs out there that we want. And we like Sebastian Fidea. We thought he 13 goals on a sorry ass team last season. We're expecting more out of him this season, and he hasn't. He's only played in what, a game and a half if you want to add up all his minutes. So so and game two and game three he doesn't start. So that's going to bring up some big questions and some rumblings in the chats. I'm sure it already did, but like I said, I haven't been paying attention to the Discord since I left yesterday. So there's a lot of debating I got to catch up on. But I'm curious as to what the fans are thinking about that, and I'll be listening to Glenn Davis this week for sure because his show is going to be a big one this week, and I want to hear what his opinion is on that fact. And you know, it's crazy. That's crazy though, just to think about. So, but if Barrett is outperforming in practice, then it is what it is, and he deserves it. He deserves it. So, first two games he didn't show like he deserved to be the wing, but maybe he deserves to be the striker. So, we'll give him more of a chance. But let's see if Sebastian Fidesz is able to change the style of play. He's able to play with instead of just being that target striker. Who knows? That's going to be a big question, and we'll see what happens over the week during practice and what Ben Olsen decides to do next home game.
Yep, and it's all about competition for sure, and they gotta earn that spot. So Sebas has to work for that. Hopefully, the lineup changes in his favor, but he's gotta earn it. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, and with that, we can just go ahead and move on to the Twitter questions that I asked a little bit after the game. I did ask some questions this morning, and I did get a couple things on the docket here. And Tiger FC asks first, who do you think had the better chances between both teams? I'm assuming, and at least for me, like Austin early on had like some pretty solid opportunities to get on the board first, and yeah, essentially just Houston just came back and just started piling on them, and yeah, like I would definitely say that for a good portion of the game, it was Austin early on though, but eventually Houston would just be like on the front foot, especially during the second half. So in terms of just having a majority of chances, I would definitely say Houston.
Yeah, it just watching the game, it looked like it was kind of going back and forth, and we were with there's a couple times we thought Austin was going to score, but whenever you go back and look at the stat line, it was 15-13 total shots for Houston in favor. Uh, Austin missed a big chance, and then we both each had a big chance. But when it comes to shot on target, it says that we had 7 shots on target. They only had 5, and it was some 6 block shots there, and so the defenders were getting in the way. But it's kind of even. So Tiger. I'll answer the question this way: be happy the Dynamo are taking shots in the final third. that's
Yep,
that's been
yep,
a big concern, and that was a couple of my points that I was making previous to this game. Is one is our chemistry, which our chemistry looked great last night, and then can we get into the final third and put shots on target? And then obviously last night we did that, and so that's 2 for 2, and we win 2-0. So I'm happy right there, bro.
yeah. Me too, honestly. But yeah, it's just good to see overall. But yeah, and into the next question. This is from the Wrexham Texan, and they mentioned watch on TV, hearing the crowd was large and lively, but looked dead on broadcast. Is that because the new East Club? If so, wish the club wouldn't look that into consideration because on TV is not very appealing. Also, for reviews, if anyone tried any. And for the first question, it's I pretty much just talked a little bit about that if when for the review of the game, but essentially it just came down to the fact that a lot of people that were sitting in the East Club just prefer to sit inside the East Club because of the heat and I'm guessing all the other amenities. But I can definitely say for sure that in terms of aesthetic and just watching the game from TV, it definitely looks pretty poor, and or at least gives that perception that the game is not well attended. Even though if you look at the pictures of the upper bowl, like it looks pretty packed. But I can definitely say that in that aspect, it is an issue. But at the same time, it's pretty much as difficult to solve because it pretty much just comes down to personal preference to just be inside in those conditions. But if you ask me personally, like I will definitely just prefer being outside regardless of the conditions because I want to watch the game, not just be inside all the time, you know. But but yeah, it's just a tough question to solve, especially if you're trying to like approach that in the perspective of the front office.
Yeah, man, I think you answered it correctly. It's just they're most of those people right there are just big wigs. Some of them are not true Dynamo fans. They're just people coming to the game, and companies are giving those tickets away to people to show up, and they get to take chance of the luxuries and the amenities, like you said. And it's a cold game, so they wanted to get inside to where it was comfortable. If it's a hot game, they're going to want to get inside where it's comfortable and the AC. So yeah, I just wish more people would actually go sit out in their seats. So I might have to go in there and just take a look at what the inside looks like, and I'm gonna pull all the chairs out. So if you want to go sit down, you have to come outside and sit down to watch the game. You can't stand inside and hover over the food the entire time and just chit chat and talk to your friends. But yeah, I was kind of seeing the highlights, and you could only see the lower bowl in the highlights, and it was always facing that side, which that was where everybody was hanging out at inside their little room. So hopefully we can figure something out, or maybe they'll put posters up of the people, cutouts.
Yeah. And to answer the second part of that question about the food reviews, I haven't tried any food options yet because, like I said, I didn't go to the home opener yet, and I wasn't able to try anything. But I can tell you right now that everyone loves the food options, from what I've seen on Twitter and other platforms, and like even like the biggest critics of the club and like how it's ran, they love they essentially love the new food options, and I'm pretty much stoked to try it now because like it's the obviously we have like a ton of local choices now that people definitely prefer over what's been in the stadium for years, and it's good to see that the Dynamo made it happen. I'm excited that they got local options there for people to try, and like also like fan favorites from that are around the city. I'm excited for that because I want to try all the options now.
Yeah, same. Like I said, I didn't go get to check out the concourse or anything. But when there's that many people at the stadium, you kind of got to get your seat when you're in the supporters section and don't give it up. And someone's got to stand their elbow ground while you run to the restroom, so you got your spot when you come back, because all the stragglers. I mean, they oversell the supporter section, so there's a lot of. I mean, it's standing room only to begin with, but there's a lot of people standing up on the kind of in the concourse in between the El Batillon and the Surge. So it was pretty freaking crowded. But yeah, I did not go check out the food. A lot of people were excited about checking out the food. I didn't witness nobody that did, or didn't see no food around me in the supporters section. So uh, text him, and we'll have to check out the food, and let you know next time, unless you make it to a game before us, and once you tell us what you thought about the food, if you beat us to it. But like Foxtrot said, maybe next weekend we'll have more of an opportunity with the Dash game, and depending on what the Dynamo look with the NYC, we'll see.
But yeah, and the last question that I received was from Tinamo Dynamo, and they just asked, "Was Urbe actually good?" And Urbe is one of the new local options available to eat in the stadium, and I haven't tried it yet, so I can say anything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to try it out for sure because that's one of the places I want to try it, especially the Vietnamese place because I heard a lot of good things about it.
Which place was he talking about originally?
Urbe. And so Urbe, because there's that one, and also we have like the Backstreet Cafe Caracol, Ugo's from the chefs that they brought in, and Sochi. But Urbe is one of them. I believe it's um Urbe Houston, if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, it's Mexican food,
Okay.
and yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But obviously, if it's in the stadium, we'll definitely have to try it out because they have like also like pizzas there too, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. I love food too, and we'll have to figure out how to check it out because we I pregame with the Surge, and we walk into the stadium, and if it's a packed stadium, you got to get to your seat. But I'll check. The only thing I heard about last night was the one that does the corn. I forget the name of that place, and people just talked about how it was like $8 or $7 for the little corn on the cob and whatever else that place sells. But so far I haven't seen no bad reviews on corn, on the corn, on all the food amenities. But yes, sorry guys, we did not, or I did not get to check out the food amenities, and uh, I'll make sure to have to do that so we can give you a good report.
Yeah, we gotta fix that. But yeah, with that, we can just go ahead and move on to the MLS weekend roundup. And
Then we have some other Dynamo news we need to talk about before we do that.
of course, yeah, the we did get some a rumor bomb from Tom Bogert today out of nowhere because I was just just waking up celebrating the win against Austin, minding my own business, and all of a sudden I see that Tom Bogert has a rumor about a center back from the Danish top flight named Erik Sviatchenko coming to Houston to sign a TAM deal, and I was like, "What?"
For real.
One of the things that we need, and I'm like, "Okay, give me time to breathe, please," because I'm coming off this win and I need time because it came out of nowhere essentially, and I'm like, "Man, this is awesome!" And Erik Sviatchenko, a experienced center back from FC Midtjylland, one of the biggest clubs in Denmark, and coming in on a TAM deal. He's been with that club for 4 years essentially, and an experienced center back that obviously showing up a little bit after a few games with the Dynamo, but I feel like they've been keeping an eye on him because like I said, he has been with that team for a while now. Like he's 31 years old. He's fairly experienced, and like according to the transfer market, he has like a valuation of 1.5 million euros, which is pretty big because he's coming in on a TAM deal, and it's just one of those things that if you let Pat cook, is going to make it, as we've seen already in the offseason. And this looks like a pretty strong a choice as a starting fullback for Houston, and he's just going to add more competition to those roles. And I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Eric,
Yeah,
because it looks pretty awesome.
yeah, man, I'll be quick about it too. But so it does sound like that the deal is confirmed. We're just waiting on documentation to go through, and then the Dynamo will announce. We don't know the details of the deal, whether it's actually a loan or we bringing the guy straight over, and for how long we're bringing him over. So interesting part is like you said, the competition, man. So Bartlow, I would assume it's going to have to be Bartlow that's going to have to be fighting for his life now to make sure he maintains that number two position, because we'll give Teenage Davy the number one position, and this guy's going to come in and he's going to fight for that starting position, and I like it, bro. Like you said, he's 31. He's a leader. He started at the club that we're getting him from. I'll let you pronounce the name. He was loaned out to, or he was Celtic then bought him for a few years there, and then Celtic sent him back to this home club of his. So, I mean, he hasn't traveled much. So he's kind of loyal. He's the captain of the team right now. He's not the captain no more since he's moving. But like I said, it's going to be great leadership. It's going to definitely shore up a position. I'm sorry, Mikel, and I'm sorry, Maples. Anybody else that was going to get the opportunity for Dose to see some time right there, it looks like you might have just lost some of that time. Maybe Mikel can still get some time for for Hadebi since they're both left-footed. And it's a good mix, but this is just going to be a solid shore up for the back line right there, and we'll see how it goes, and maybe it'll push Bartlow to that potential that he's got a lot quicker, because that's usually what a good player does when you bring one in try to take your spot.
Yep, and yeah, like I feel like he's gonna pretty much just gonna be a straight up starter when he comes in, assuming that all the paperwork is done on time, and then that's been an issue with the Dynamo to start the season. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes, and I feel like, and like I said, for me it's just a matter of competition, and obviously we need a center back because for a long season there's going to be a lot of transitions, and Houston need to fill out all the gaps, and the center back gap was like one of the few ones they had left to fill out, and yeah, it looks like they get taken care of that, and we'll see how it goes from here. I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, with that we can do the MLS. We can recap if you're down.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And the first game of the day that everybody was watching while we were at the tailgate was the big one of the weekend, was Seattle hosting LAFC. And I was interested in that one, but obviously being at the tailgate in the middle of a parking lot, I did not pay no attention to it. I did not get to see even any MLS soccer this weekend, so I'm going to have to refer to Apple TV and watch some highlights of some games. But yeah, man, let's just run through it, and just kind of butt in if you want to comment about any of the games as I run through them. Otherwise, I'll just try to breeze through them. But Seattle and LAFC ended up 0-0. So, again,
Yep.
I didn't watch none of these games, so I really can't give you any details into any of these games to kind of explain what happened. But Seattle and LAFC 0-0, who Seattle is my Western pick. I'm not sure if you have a Western pick this early into the season. Do you?
No, not really. I mean, except I feel like it's gonna be LAFC for sure,
Right.
but it's still a long season to go.
Yeah, that's what everybody else is thinking too. Everybody LAFC. But I think Seattle's back into their groove that they're always in, and so we'll see who ends up winning that Western Conference right there. Unless it's us, of course. You never
Of course,
know. You never know.
uh, I always say that if it's not us, it's that team. So if
Yeah,
we don't win it, it's gonna be them.
yeah,
So yeah,
bro. And then moving on, Atlanta continuing their hot season. They might be a surprise team in the East over there. Shoot, they beat
no, yeah,
They beat Portland 5-1, scoring 5 goals. So Atlanta might have found their niche, and they're gonna make a push over there. And
no, yeah. And Thiago Almada, like he's having an amazing start so far. I think he has 4 goals already in the first few games for Atlanta. So
wow.
shouts to them, and yeah, I feel like Atlanta is back, but we'll see.
Well, all right. And then moving on, here comes a big surprise to me, because nobody's putting Montreal up there to do anything and compete for anything, and they lost a bunch of players, they lost their head coach, but Philadelphia traveled to Montreal and they got Montreal. Montreal won 3-2, so it looks like it could have been an exciting game. And again, don't know details, but Montreal with a big upset, 3-2. And Philly's not the greatest team on the road. They win all their games at home and they play competitively on the road, but they lost.
No, yeah. Montreal is a quiet team that gets the results quietly, and they get to playoffs. I do appreciate Montreal for sure.
New England hosted Nashville yesterday, and I guess to no surprise, since we played New England and see what they're doing, they won 1-0 yesterday, so they clean sheeted Nashville, so they continue on their nice little run that they're having right there. It,
Yep.
NYFC beat DC 3-2. We kind of touched on it during the show. So we got NYFC next. So hopefully, they're winless on the road. They haven't won yet, so maybe we can keep them that way. New York Red Bulls hosted Columbus and won 2-1. So no surprise there. We expect a little more from the Red Bulls. Now here's a surprise game. Surprise! Orlando hosted Charlotte, and everybody was high hopes on Orlando, maybe pushing for Cincinnati and Philadelphia in the East. But Charlotte goes into Orlando and wins 2-0. I mean 2-1. Sorry, two to
Yep.
one. So that's a crazy scoreline, and Charlotte finally gets on the win column right there.
Yeah. Big win for Charlotte and Orlando too. They're one of the best teams in the East, and yeah, kudos to them.
Toronto with a big, I'm going to call it a big upset, because Miami was looking like another tough team in the East, but they beat Miami in Toronto 2-0. So Miami looks like they're having trouble scoring already this season, which is weird because don't they have Joseph?
They do, and it's also an upset for me because Miami is doing amazing to start the season, and Toronto is like the opposite right now. But it's a big result for Toronto for sure.
Ooh, next game looks like a even bigger surprise because I was going to say Chicago hosted Cincinnati, and I was saying Chicago was going to be beat up this week because they had a hard fought game against Philly that they lost 1-0 and took two red cards. But man, they 3-3 Chicago and Cincinnati 3-3. So it looks like that one's going to be an exciting game to go back and rewatch, man, right there. But Chicago might not be one of the doesn't want to be the bottom tier team no more.
We'll see.
All right, here we go with a rivalry roundup game where both our rivals, FC Dallas, North Oklahoma Frisco Toll Road, played Sporting KC up in Frisco, and it looks like Dallas just won 2-1. Sporting KC scoring their first goal of the season, and they did it
Yep.
pretty early in the 11th minute, and then Dallas had to score twice back to back in the second half. But so SKC's not starting off too well this season, bro. Like I don't know what's up with them.
No, it's an issue with them. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, like Kansas City's up to a bad start.
And then the other rivalry game, Houston beat Austin 2-0, which was super friggin' special right there. That
Yep.
amazing, amazing. I'm gonna skip this next one because I think we need to come back to it. But then Colorado hosted
Yeah.
Minnesota, and Minnesota won 2-1 in Colorado. So not no surprise, but I also heard some rumblings that Zarek Valentine, man, is he feels like he's rejuvenated in some sense. So uh, it doesn't look like he started yesterday for Minnesota. So maybe not as rejuvenated as we thought. Yeah, he subbed in the 94th minute, so he didn't get no time in that one. So we'll just ignore that rejuvenation for
He
him
still
right there.
played. He still played, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, he still played. Maybe he's working on his community aspect like he did over here.
Yep.
A little bit of a surprise game last night. LA Galaxy and Vancouver tied 1-1. You're expecting more out of the Galaxy, but maybe not. Maybe they're just poor. They're having troubles with their front office over there, and their fans are extremely pissed at them right now, anyways. So maybe that's deserving. One.
Yeah, I did see like a picture of the home opener, and the fans. Well, the fans in the product section are essentially just boycotting the club right now, and I wish them the best of luck for sure because we were in that position before that we had to protest,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just wish them the best, even though we typically don't like LA Galaxy.
Yeah, man, but they have so many supporter groups over there. So like one end of the stadium, I think was protesting outside the stadium, and they watched it from like their venues, like us at being at pitch or whatever. And then the other side of the stadium, I don't know if those supporters were involved in the same thing, but they were kind of united together. So maybe they'll make some moves over there, and they're going to have to because if they don't show up to games, Galaxy have to do something. I do just have to take a hit and get out. But
Yeah.
then, then here we are. History in the making and a big, big, absolutely surprising scoreline right here, especially for San Jose, who is a very offensive team. They traveled to St. Louis and got walloped 3-0. So one, St. Louis makes history being the first expansion team to win 4 games in a row, 4 games straight to start the season. No ties, 4 games straight. This time they didn't have to come from behind to win. They just straight up took care of business. So like you said last week, those fans are on a high right now. They're probably on such a high, they're going to start getting obnoxious and annoying. But we know what that feels like over here.
No man, Saint Louis, shout out to them and their fans. Like they spent years building this team, and they're in the moment, and they're on a mission right now, and they want to win the supporter shield. I hope they keep believing that because they can definitely make it happen, even though still have like 30 games to go. But but yeah, man, shout out to them. And they're flying high, and they're just gonna be pretty much the team to beat at this point.
That's crazy what they're doing over there. So that was the games, and just real quick, the standings. Atlanta is at first place in the East with 10 points. New England and Cincinnati, or New England with 9, because they're 3-1 with no draws. Atlanta has not lost yet; they're 3 wins and a draw, which gives them the difference right there. Cincinnati with 8, Nashville with 7. So NYC is in fifth, but again, they've only got teams only got four games under their belt. Chicago is in last place in the East because Charlotte got their first win, but Chicago has 2 ties, so they're getting the points. And then the big one, surprise, St. Louis holding up the top of the ladder with that win right there. And LAFC, Seattle, Dallas, Minnesota all tied for second with 7 points. Minnesota and LFC playing one last game. Austin's still 6, and guess where we're at, man? We're on the playoff line at number 9.
Yes, sir.
Number 9, and it looks like it's because of goal differential. Portland
Yep.
has 3 points as well, but they're a -5 and we're a -2. So keep it up. Vancouver, LA Galaxy, Sporting KC, and the winless Vancouver, winless Galaxy, winless Sporting KC, and winless Colorado, all holding down the bottom of the Western Conference. So MLS recap. That's what's up. Look forward to it next week to see what else
Yep.
happens.
Yeah, MLS in full swing now. Some teams have 4 games. We have 3 games, and it's just getting started. So it's gonna be a roller coaster from here for certain teams, and we'll see how everything goes, especially for us. But yeah, and one more
Oh,
thing, since
yeah.
it looks like that's that for the episode, we do have also Dash and Dynamo 2 starting their seasons next week, and since we don't have like a lot of information now, and we're expecting the full rosters to be released next week, we are going to be releasing a separate episode to essentially preview Dash and Dynamo 2 before their games. And Dynamo 2 is going to start playing on Friday. Their first game is in Austin against Austin FC 2. And it's interesting to see how we get all the Austin games. Yep, just like that. That graphic, yeah, the one from Twitter. It's it's interesting how we open the season against Austin again. This time, Dynamo 2 doing just that. And like I said, it's gonna be in Austin. Me and Erik are planning to go to that game. It's gonna be at the Austin FC training complex. It's a field that's pretty close to the complex, so
It's
we're
at
looking forward to that.
the Palmer Center.
Palmer Center, gotcha. Oh yeah, it's close by. Okay, but yeah, it's I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Dynamo 2 coming off a pretty upsetting way to get out of the playoffs, but one of the best teams in their conference. So, and obviously the young guys, I'm looking forward to see them as well. And yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that next week when we have all the rosters. And same goes to the Dash. They start the season on Sunday next week against Racing Louisville, and it's gonna be 6 p.m. So you better go to that game because I'm going after the Dynamo game on Saturday. I'm going to that game. If you don't go to that game, you're a hater.
For real. So Foxtrot, bro, we have a busy weekend next weekend, man. And by the way, if anybody's in Austin or wants to come up to the game, tickets go on sale on the 20th, which is Monday, for the Dose game to go to in Austin. So, man, guys, y'all come up there and join us. I know Foxtrot will be there. I'll be there. I do know some family members of one of the players that I just kind of discovered this weekend and was talking to. They're going to bring their whole family and root on one of the players because they actually live up here kind of close to us too at the same time. So there's going to be there'll be a little small contingent of orange over there trying to make some noise and interrupt Austin FC too. And from what I hear, the Austin FC too, they're kind of high on their potential that they got over there. So we just need to come in and upset and let them know what MLS Next Pro is about. So we got that game here in Austin on Friday. We got the Dynamo on Saturday that we're going to travel to, and then we're going to stick around for a late Dash game on Sunday night and make the drive. Well, I'm going to make the drive back Sunday night right after the game and get back probably about 11 o'clock at night and go straight to bed and get ready for work the next day. And then
Yeah, that's gonna be me too. Yeah.
yeah, and I assume that means with the full schedule coming back out now, guys. It most likely, I don't think Foxtrot. You'll have to clarify this. Doesn't look like we're going to be doing our episodes on Sundays anymore. We'll have to move it to Mondays most likely because obviously we're going to have games on Sundays to recap now, and so obviously we
Yep.
can't be recording like we're doing right now on a Sunday mid afternoon because we got to wait for some games. But so maybe one day later when the episode gets released. But of course, if you're notified and you're subscribed, you'll see every time we post a new episode out there. But another note that I forgot to mention, we were talking about Dynamo, and then so I didn't go into the concourse much, but the time I did go into the concourse yesterday, we found a friggin' stray, man, and ridiculous because everybody says, man, just go to the game, enjoy yourself, stay in your lane, and the Austin supporters are on the south end of the stadium, and the Houston supporters section is on the far north end of the stadium. So for a stray to come all the way over and get came by himself too, and I do not know the story behind it, but there was an Austin supporter who I guess got into it in the concourse with some of ours, or it sounded like he tried to enter into our supporter section and was not allowed. And of course, as crowded as it is, somebody was probably walking out, and I guess words were exchanged. It sounds like a soda was thrown, and I'm walking out to the restroom, and I get bumped. Oh, like move out of the way, move out of the way. And it's a damn security guard rushing to the scene. Yeah, so, and it was
Man.
she just got to move out of the way, move out of the way. And so I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I look up, and there's two sheriffs and like six Houston security guards, not security guards, but Houston, yeah, security guards. Just got this one looked like a 21, 22-year old kid, just had him in the corner and was protecting him because I don't know what he did, but like I said, it was like, come on, man, you got to stay in your lane. You were by yourself. Yeah, I don't know if you were drunk or whatever, but it's pretty simple, guys. When you go to an away game, just stay your lane, stay with your supporters, mind your own business. Definitely don't go to the other supporters section because things get riled up pretty quick. But yeah, I just had to mention the stray real quick, and otherwise, it was a pretty nothing happened in the game. Nothing happened outside, as far as we know. It was great. We followed out EB with the music, and then once we got out of the stadium, they Dynamo started popping fireworks. So we watched the fireworks. We watched EB pop their fireworks, and whoever else had some out there, and just enjoyed our win, and then went back to doing what we do best, and that's just being regular people in the world now because the Dynamo game was over. But
Yeah. No, I did see the videos of and pictures of them after the game of EV celebrating outside, and that was awesome, man. And I love participating in those, and obviously in the support section whenever I go there. But yeah, like and yeah, just going back to the situation. I mean, they're clearly looking for trouble if they're going all the way like from one end to the stadium to the other, and it's just bad people making bad choices. And yeah, I mean, if you're on a visiting stadium, don't go to the opposing team's supporter section. You're just looking for trouble, and you're gonna get beat up if security wasn't there, and you're also creating a safety situation with the security guards, the fans, and it's silly. And yeah, like thankfully, from what I heard, nothing happened, and I hope that person learns a lesson, and just everyone else really. But yeah, it just sucks to see. But other than that, I'm glad that nothing serious happened and everyone had fun at the end of the day.
right. And like you said, we didn't hear anything else that happened. So, in a way, just because we're still humans, I hope the awesome people that traveled in the buses, they did bring about 500 people. They looked like they had two whole sections over there. I could not hear a word they were doing, any noise they were making, but obviously I'm in the supporter section and I've got EB blaring the entire time. So that good. That just looked up a couple times and remembered they were there. But hopefully they had a safe trip on the bus trip last night, and they didn't beat each other up last night. They're probably arguing the whole time on the bus ride back. God, not Owen Wolf, Josh Wolf. Golly, they were, but. To be a fly on the wall inside that bus as they were going back, but in all honesty, I hope they had a safe trip back. I'm sure they're all back, and they're probably hating us right now, but they're from what I can see on Twitter, they're more focused on Josh Wolf right now and less on us, which is good. Focus on your own team. We'll focus on ours, and we got you 2 more times this season, so we'll see you, and they will see you on Friday too, because I'm sure some of them awesome people will be out there at the Dose game, because I'm pretty sure this is their first next pro game, so they're gonna have a nice big crowd. I understand they're going to bring some instruments as well to that game, so they're going to be loud and bringing it for their fans too. So, Foxtrot, we'll have to make some noise over there.
Yep. Yeah. And it's gonna be fun. But yeah, it's that's gonna be the episode. It's I'll talk about as Dynamo are back in the groove and just like things to look forward to, especially for Dynamo 2 and Dash coming up. And yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in, and I hope to see you back next week for more of this, especially when all three teams are back. And yeah, stay noodle.
H is up.